Yo, it's your boy Logos, and today we're going to react to a Pearly podcast video clip where they talk about society and women's safety in society. Some touchy subjects, so instead of using actual words, they use acronyms like SA, which is an acronym for when a man or woman is attacked and their attackers forcing themselves upon the victim, if you know what I mean. We can't say certain words like that on YouTube without consequences, so we have to play little word games to get around it. But let's just get right into it.
Like someone being traumatized by someone.
They're different. There's different tiers. 100%.
But we put this all in SA, which I think is just stupid. And so then we paint this picture that women are being attacked all the time by men when it's not true. We're more safe than we've ever been in all of human history. Ever.
How many women?
Yes, we are.
How many women?
My God. All right, hang on.
No, but
Hang on. The reason why you're more safe than you've ever been in history, right? Every single, or generally, the buildings that are built that you live in, the cars that you are driving that you drive, when you go to work, it's all men that are doing this stuff. Men are actually making your life safer, and you totally negate it. This building, the bricks that were laying were probably laying by men. The plumbing in this building was probably done by men. Mm-hmm. Men have made women's lives so safe to the point where women are now thinking that they're so comfortable that they can tell men, you know what, men ain't shit. Well, and it's like, well, if men ain't shit, go back and live in the woods.
Throughout all of human, throughout all of human history, we needed a man to survive.
100%.
Now you're able. It's a privilege to be able to live on your own as a woman. Men had to tame the world. Mm-hmm. They had to build the buildings. They had to make the police forces. All the people that protect us are men. And it's like women are so unappreciative. We'll still go back and say things like the majority of women are being raped when you know damn well that's not true.
I don't understand how these women on the panel could argue against the fact that women are safe now and more safe now than they ever been before in human history. I think you can only make that judgment if you only look within your bubble and your experiences and the people you talk to, which is only a small minority within your own city, let alone the country and the world. But within history itself, all you have to do is read a book, and you can see that women are much more free and treated much more equally and fairly than they ever been before. Hundreds of years ago, across the whole world, and even before then, raids would happen where people would go and attack other villages or cities, and they would kidnap women and make them their wives. They would do that against their will. It was just a normal thing that would happen, and the state would try their best to fight against it, but you can't fight against the whole territory that you control. When you have people on farms or in villages out in the outskirts of your empire, you can't protect from horsemen or cavalrymen, anybody like that, from swooping in and catching them by surprise because they're not fighters and taking their women away. And before they take the women away, they're killing their husband, and they're probably killing their sons too. And then they'll take the daughter and they'll take the mother away with them. That stuff happened all the time, and it was considered a normal thing. It's not a good thing, but that was something you just couldn't control. We didn't have no laws or no world treaties or governments or anything like that. Us as society didn't say as a whole across countries and across cultures and people that you shouldn't do that. People just saw it as a way of warfare and as a tactic to use to improve your nation or improve your standing or political stance. That's not something we do anymore. Women on the street is getting snatched up by men randomly. Is a small minority of men that do stuff like that. And these women on this panel try to act like they're not safe now compared to women in 200 BC or a woman in the 1500s is ridiculous. I don't know how you can say that, but at the same time say you had the patriarchy holding you back, but at the same time you say you're not as safe now than it was previously. The Mongols would go and kill whole villages and cities and stuff like that. And it was part of warfare. They didn't care about the men or women or children cries or screams or begging because they saw them as cattle. People of all nations, of all cultures throughout this whole world and history of this planet has engaged in warfare and has engaged in raiding where they did mess up stuff to each other. And a lot of times the victim of that stuff was men and women. The men would be killed or be fighting, and the woman would either be killed or sold into slavery or forced to be somebody's wife, quote unquote. The ancient world isn't no pretty, nice, cuddly thing. The world we have now is much more soft and easier, especially you live in the West. I think it's really ridiculous women like her who live in Britain or live in Western countries would have the freedom to say what they want without physical consequences. And if there are people who do attack them for what they say, they have police to back them up and keep them safe. They act like they're not protected. At least in places like in Saudi Arabia or Middle East, depending on where you go, the women are treated much more closely to how they were in ancient times or medieval times. You in the West don't experience that. But at the same time, it's people in the West that try to act like they're going under such oppressive regiments of men or regiments of government. They trying to act like men everywhere are just evil and beasts, and the majority of men are assaulting women, or the majority of women are being assaulted by men. That's something that they say in this podcast too. Some of the same women that agree with this nonsense about women not being safe now compared to hundreds of years ago. I don't understand how you could say that. These women love to make these blanket statements about men because of what they went through, but they don't realize that their sons, fathers, and uncles, all these other men in their family who don't do anything at all, are still men too. All these other guys on the street that just walk past you, don't give a damn about you, are men too. But you say the majority of men are this, or the majority of women are going through that, and the statistics of that is just not there. It's just not true. You're just going off of your feelings, like these women did with this whole modern, culture of women being assaulted. They act like it's just prevalent. Majority of women are going through trauma, and I feel like that's just a lie. The statistics don't show that. They say that police, for the most part, ignore women when they try to report something. I don't believe that's true either. Some of them just want to convict the guy just off a woman's word with no evidence, and they have a problem with people saying you need to present evidence to take this man's freedom away. I don't understand how you could have a problem with that. Some of these same women on this panel who say this type of stuff and say that men should just be thrown in jail for a whim of a woman and her word with no evidence are the same one that will march in the street and say that police reform or social justice reform or criminal reform need to happen. But they quit to fuel the prison industrial complex by throwing men in the jail off of a woman's whim. This is ridiculous. Some of these same women have sons themselves. They have fathers. They have brothers. They have male friends. They trying to act like those men want to suffer the consequences of these actions that they want to implement. It sounds ridiculous to me. And it's hard for me to take these people seriously, but I do love it when they say stuff like this, because we can at least get this conversation out there and get to understanding what these people think. But also debate on the merits of what they think. No point of a reaction for me is to give my thoughts on it and to try to dissect their arguments, because I love debating. And I don't understand how a woman could say she's not as safe now compared to a woman 100 or 1,000 years ago. You just have no idea about history. You have no idea about the stuff you're talking about. You can't say these blanket statements that have real world consequences when you spend most of your time on social media and BS. Like, if you don't study history, you can't say that the history before and the history that is going on now is equal, because it's not. It's not even close. It's funny because this woman never go to war, but our generation as a whole has really never seen war. We've been lucky enough to avoid that. So we have no idea what actual conflict and violence and warfare look like. And that stuff is nasty. This woman probably doesn't study history at all, especially not military history. But she has a nerve to say that women isn't as protected compared to back then. It's ridiculous. I feel like our generation as a whole just like to say stuff because they feel a certain type of way when there's no evidence of that. And there's real consequences to it. You can't just come up on this podcast and say that the majority of men are this, that, and the other, or try to say a blanket statement and expect men to just sit there and take it, or want to just keep talking through it like it's not a big deal, or you shouldn't get pushback. It's ridiculous. If you think it was so equal then compared to now, why not you just go back there and live there and find out for yourself? Find out how it is to be on the edge of an empire who could get raided at any time. It's your boy Logos, and I'll see y'all next time.